So one day you try and upload a video and you're told that the video file is too big. Well, in this video, we'll be looking at how you can make your video files smaller so they take up less space. Now over here, I have two almost identical looking videos playing side by side, but one of them takes up 120 megabytes and another one takes up only 63 megabytes. The difference is that one of them uses a highly efficient compression algorithm, and we'll look at how you can use this on your own videos too. First, we're going to download a free and open source video transcoder called Handbrake. You can find a link to this site in the description of this video. Now Handbrake can do a lot more, not just reduce the size of your videos, but it can also be used to crop or even rotate your videos. It does a whole lot more, not just that. Now on the home page, click on this big red download button. You won't miss it. Once you finish installing and setting up Handbrake, you'll see a cocktail and pineapple icon on your desktop. Click on that to launch the app. Once you launch the app, it will prompt you to drag and drop in an individual video file, or you can drag and drop an entire folder that contains many video files. Over here on the side, I have an individual file that takes up 28 megabytes, and I want to make it a lot smaller than that. Here, I'll simply drag and drop the video file over into the app. Right above, you'll see your video file name, and this is now referred to as the source. This is the file that we're going to transcode. If you want to change the source, in the top left corner, you can click on Open Source. And this brings us back to the initial screen. But I want to transcode this file, so I'm going to click on Cancel right here. I can choose which title I want to transcode, and also the angle. Now this is typically the case if I have a DVD or Blu-ray, but in my case I just have one video clip. Down below you'll see several different tabs, and each one of them has many different settings, and we can use these to reduce the video file size, but there are a lot of settings and it might feel a bit daunting if you do not want to mess with any of these. You can also use some presets that come with Handbrake. Let's say that you really want to email this video as an attachment. Here I can click through these presets and there's an option for that, and it will ensure that my video file is less than 25 megabytes. Or let's say I really want to watch this video on my tablet. There's a setting for that will reduce the size but will ensure quality for that device. If you go with one of these presets, you're pretty much done for now. I am going to go forward with the default 1080p fast, and then let's take a look at what some of these settings are. The first tab contains a summary of the various settings. If you're ever unsure about what each setting does, you can simply hover over it, and it will show you a tooltip that explains what each setting does. Right up here, you can choose the format. You'll probably recognize some of these containers. I'll select MP4 on the Dimensions tab. Here, you can flip a video. You can also rotate a video. So let's say you record a video on your phone and it's in the wrong orientation. You could simply rotate it. You could also crop a video. So let's say you have those black bars on the top and bottom of your video. You could cut those out. Here in the middle, you could also adjust the resolution. In the top left corner, you can see the original or the source resolution. And if you have fewer pixels, it can help you save some space. Lastly, you could also add a border to your video. Moving on to the next tab, there's one called Filters, and here you can have a number of different options. Once again, you can hover over them to see what they do. One of the more interesting options, down here at the very bottom, you can turn your video into grayscale, or basically black and white. Moving on to the Video tab, here we can choose an encoder, and this is going to do the magic of compressing your video, so it takes up less space. Within this drop-down menu, there are many different options to choose from. So which one should you pick? Well, most of the presets use either H.264 or H.265, and H.265 is the successor of H.264. It's basically newer and more efficient, and what this means is that you get a smaller file with better quality. So in general, you should always go with H.265. Although there is one potential downside, not many services accept H.265 yet. And just as an example, I tried uploading a video to Twitter in H.265 and they rejected it, but they accepted H.264. So you just have to see where your video file is accepted. You'll notice that H.264 and H.265 have different options, like X64. You also have NVIDIA Envy and Code. So which one should you choose? Well, one of these refers to the software doing the encoding, and the other one refers to your graphics card doing the encoding. In general, I haven't found that much of a difference between these. You can experiment with them, but here I'm going to select the software encoding under the encoder. You can choose the frame rate. This is how many still images appear every second in your video. I'm going to select same as source over on the right hand side. Here you can choose constant quality or you can choose average bitrate, and I would highly recommend going with constant quality. quality. This is where you can define the quality level that you want, and Handbrake would adjust the bitrate to match that quality. I will only go with average bitrate if you have a specific reason to go with that. But in general, Handbrake highly recommends constant quality. Underneath constant quality, you can define the quality levels, and when you hover over, you'll see some recommendations based on type of content. So if you want high definition content, here they recommend between 20 and 23. I am going to select 23. Now obviously, the higher quality, the more space your video file will take, and the lower quality, the less space your video will take. Down below, you can also set the encoder speed, and here the turtle wins the race. The more time the encoder has, it can ensure a better image quality. And the smaller file size, you just have to be willing to wait a bit longer for it to encode and complete. Moving on to the next tab, we have audio. And here, just like with video, you can choose the codec for your video. I'll leave it at set default of AAC. Here, I can also select the bitrate. The lower the bitrate, the less space it will take up, but also the worse the quality will be. And with higher bitrates, it's the opposite. The higher the quality and the more space it will consume. Now, in general, audio has pretty minimal impact on overall file size, so I'll leave these as it is. Lastly, you can also adjust the subtitles and chapters. Now, if you went through and customized all these different settings, you probably want to save them. Right up here, you can choose a new preset. That way, you could simply go back to them in the future. Well, now with all these settings, it might not be completely clear on how it's going to impact how your video looks. And unfortunately, encoding takes a bit of time, so it's a bit of guesswork. But luckily, Handbrake includes a preview. When you click on that, it will show you your video and you could just encode, let's say, 10 seconds of it. You can then view it to see if you're satisfied with it. If you're not, you could simply close it, adjust the settings again, and then you could preview it once again. So this helps you save time to make sure that the settings that you have chosen are optimal. With all that out of the way, we need to choose where we want to save this file. Down here at the very bottom, you can type in a destination or you can browse to some place on your computer. Here you'll see the file extension. Mine says .mp4, but you might also see m4v. That is the same as mp4, except it supports DRM capabilities. If you don't want that, you can simply type in mp4. If you want to set mp4 as the default moving forward, go up to the tools menu and then click on preference output files, and then you can change it to .mp4. With all that, now we are ready to start encoding. Right up here, I can click on Start Encode. Down here, you'll see a progress bar. Once it's done, your video file will be a lot smaller and you should have a comparable quality. And that concludes this video. If you enjoyed this video, found this video helpful in any way, shape or form, then consider leaving a like and subscribing. Turn on post notifications to be the first to know when I publish a new video. Also, if you have any constructive criticism or any questions or anything, comment them down below. Until next time, thanks for watching. Peace!